Good afternoon. My name is Haley Marguerite, the children's author of the Charlie Takes Adventure book series. I am reading my good friend Rebekah Phillips' book, Farlee and Friends, The Friendship Promise by Rebekah Phillips herself, Paws Publishing, LLC. Chapter 1, Farlee Hunter Hawkins III. There's Farlee. Farlee Hunter Hawkins didn't look like most dogs. His mom said he was unique, but local canines thought his features were rather odd. It was true. The majority of dogs his age didn't have a bushy beard and fuzzy eyebrows like Farlee's. He was named after his grandfather, Farlee Hunter Hawkins II, a purebred Airedale Terrier who had been a renowned athlete, known mostly for swimming around Devonshire Lake 2 times with his eyes closed. Farlee was also a good swimmer, but it would take a lot more practice to make it around the lake twice. For generations, Farlee and his family had lived at the very top of Candle Brook Hill in a once grand house that now creaked and groaned with every step they took. It was a lovely home surrounded by old trees with giant trunks that must have taken years to grow so fat and strong. Farlee couldn't imagine living anywhere else. "Mom," he hollered from the porch, "I'm going to the lake." "Okay, Farlee," she replied. "Please be sure you're home for dinner and don't swim by yourself." The hinges on the old backyard shed made a loud screech as Farlee pried the door open to fetch his bike. The weather was so sticky and hot, he couldn't wait to get in the water. He hopped on his bike and pedaled as fast as he could, humming a happy tune as he raced down the dirt path carved among the trees. There's Farlee. He's so cute. He began to daydream, breathing in the sweet summer air and imagining himself gliding through the water. Suddenly, a high-pitched voice screeched, "Watch out!" Farlee jerked his handlebars and skidded to the edge of the path. He looked around to see where the voice had come from, but there was no one there. Using his nose, which he rarely did, he sniffed the air and caught the scent of an unfamiliar animal. He closed his eyes and followed the scent over to the right, then down, down, until... "I'm right here. Could you back up a touch?" A quiet voice squeaked. A gray field mouse carrying a tattered knapsack was staring up at Farlee. Their noses nearly touched. "Oh, I'm sorry," Farlee exclaimed, opening his eyes and standing up quickly. "I couldn't see where you were." "Can you see me now?" the mouse asked, looking up at Charlie with small bright eyes. "Yes, of course. I've just never seen a mouse before," Farlee said, shocked. He'd heard rumors about mice from his parents, legend that they had come over in ships years ago, and that the dogs, fearful, had chased them away. Fearful of what? Farlee couldn't imagine as he looked at the tiny creature, but he did remember his mom mentioning that she was afraid of mice. "My name is Cornelius," the mouse said. "I'm very sorry I crashed your bike, but you nearly ran me over." No, I'm the one who is sorry," Farlee replied. "I didn't see you. My name is Farlee Hawkins," he added with a nervous smile. Cornelius tried to smile back, but his whiskers just wiggled awkwardly. He was still a bit shaken. "Well, I had better be on my way," Cornelius said, glancing toward the forest. "Where are you going?" Farlee asked. Cornelius just shrugged his shoulders, adjusting his knapsack. "I'm on my way to the lake to practicing my swimming, and I'm not supposed to swim alone. Do you want to come?" Farlee continued, trying his best to make amends. "Yes, I suppose that would be all right," Cornelius answered slowly. "Do you have to get permission from your parents before we go?" Farlee asked, not sure if mice had the same rules as dogs. "I don't have any parents," Cornelius replied with a deep sigh. Farlee was sorry he mentioned it. He had so many more questions to ask, but he thought it was best to just cheer him up, the sad little mouse. "I could buy you some ice cream at the lake as an apology," Farlee asked. "Oh, you don't have to," Cornelius replied. "But I do love ice cream." He put his hand on his belly, wondering if Farlee heard it rumble. "I have a basket on the front of my bike. Do you want to ride in it there?" Farlee asked. "I'll go slow, I promise." Cornelius nodded and climbed up to the basket, surprised by his own bravery. And to be honest, it was nice not to feel so very alone. Chapter 2. The Friendship Promise. When they arrived at the lake, it was loaded with dogs, cats, and even possums, who usually don't come out at night. Everyone seemed to be seeking relief from the summer heat. "I know a different spot where we can go too," Farlee said, pedaling past the crowded beach. He rode his bike farther down the road and turned onto the path that cut down a path of heavy brambles. It led to a clearing, and beyond that, a private beach. The water gently met the shoreline in delicate waves that danced and glistened in the sunlight. "This should do," Farlee said, feeling confident a little mouse would feel safer away from the crowd. "You wait here, Cornelius. I'll go get our ice cream." "Okay," Cornelius replied, nervously looking around. He scurried into the safety of an old hollow log by the edge of the water and waited for the special treat. Suddenly, the brambles made a crunching noise as something else wiggled its way onto the secret beach. It was far too soon for Farlee to be returning, so Cornelius peeked through a hole to see what was coming. His little body trembled. It was a large, black Labrador wearing a red bandana. The dog began to do stretches on the sand as if it were preparing to do a great feat. The canine was distracted enough that Cornelius could have escaped, but he didn't know where he was or where he should go, so he decided to wait. "Daisy!" "What are you doing here?" Cornelius heard Farlee call. "Oh, hi, Farlee," the dog replied. "This is my swimming spot where I train. I didn't think anyone else knew about this place. Are you waiting for someone?" Oh, that looks so good, that ice cream. I love ice cream too. Farlee looked down at his paws, which held 2 ice cream cones. "Kinda," he replied, as the melting ice cream dripped down onto his fur. "Well, if they don't show, I can spot you, if you want," Daisy offered. "I really shouldn't swim alone." Farlee had known Daisy for a few years, but they didn't talk much. Her parents were very strict, and she was always training for a marathon or some other contest. She never lost at anything, and Farlee was certain she must have an entire room full of trophies. But he wasn't sure if she was good at keeping secrets. "Can you keep a secret?" he asked her. "Well, it depends on what it is." "I can keep it as long as it isn't something bad." "I'm a feather troop member, you know," Daisy said with conviction. No, it isn't bad. It's just that I found a mouse," Farlee whispered. "A what?" Daisy asked, leaning in closer. "A mouse," Farlee whispered again. "He's right over there. But he's very nice. Not scary at all." "Why would you be scared of a mouse?" Daisy laughed. "Well, I don't know," Farlee said. "My mom is afraid of mice, so I thought maybe everyone was. I heard when they first arrived here in Devonshire, the dogs chased them all away." "I don't know about that," Daisy said, "but I'm not afraid of a little old mouse. I've heard they were the cleverest creatures that exist. Mice never grow old. You know, it could probably teach us all kinds of things." Farlee studied her face and determined she was telling the truth. "Cornelius, it's safe to come out," he hollered. "Daisy is friendly." Under normal circumstances, Cornelius would have stayed inside the log, but he hadn't eaten a bite in nearly 3 days, and the thought of the ice cream cone melting away forced him out of his hiding place. "Hi there," he said cautiously, inching his way toward the dogs. "I'm Cornelius. Cornelius from Byensburg." "Nice to meet you, Cornelius," Daisy said. "How did you end up here? Byensburg is a world away." "Well, I'd love to explain, but can I have some of that delicious ice cream first?" Cornelius asked, eagerly pointing to the dripping cone. "Oh, yes, of course," Farlee said as he lowered the cone to the ground. Yum. My gosh, that looks delicious. Cornelius drove into the frozen tree, gobbling it up with such hunger. Daisy and Farlee stared at each other in amazement. "Looks like your little mouse friend hasn't eaten in a while," Daisy whispered. "To answer your question," Cornelius began sheepishly, wiping ice cream from his mouth, "I came here on a boat with other mice, but when the dogs chased everyone away, I was left here alone. I think I'm the last mouse left." "Oh no, that's awful." "We aren't like the other dogs, so don't worry," Daisy reassured him. "It must be very lonely to be the last mouse left. We'll protect you. You can count on us." "Pa promised," Farlee chimed in. He couldn't imagine being all alone with no family. That is sad. "I know what we can do," Daisy suggested, noticing Cornelius still looked fearful. "We can all make the Feather Troop a friendship pack. Trust me, it's a certified pack promise, so it will be official. The pack is a promise that can never be broken, no matter what." Daisy went over to the bramble patch and found a stick, then broke it in half and used a sharp end to write their names in the sand. Then they each made a footprint, one on top of the other, and repeated after Daisy. "Friends love at all times. Friends help each other be the best they can be. Friends have the courage to stand up for what's right. Friends accept you for you. Friends have fun." Aw, that's so cute. "There, now it's official. Friends for life," Farlee declared. Cornelius smiled. He suddenly felt safer than he ever had since arriving in Devonshire. Daisy and Farlee couldn't tolerate the heat a moment longer and splashed into the water, racing back and forth while Cornelius timed them. They all joked, laughed, and played. By the end of the day, it felt like they'd been friends forever. "I better get home for dinner," Farlee finally announced, shaking the water from the coat. "Maybe we can train again tomorrow?" Daisy asked eagerly. "Yeah, sounds good," Farlee said. He was feeling rather tired. Daisy sure was a fast swimmer. "We'll see you tomorrow," he added as he placed Cornelius in the basket and hopped on his bike. The sun was starting to slip down behind the trees, so Farlee pedaled as fast as he could. "Hold on, Cornelius," he yelled. "I've got to make it home for dinner or I'll be in trouble." Cornelius squinted against the wind and held on tightly to the basket of Farlee's bike, soared into the air each time as they hit a bump. When they reached the place on the trail where they had met, Farlee skipped to a stop. "Should I meet you here tomorrow?" he panted. "Same time?" He reached out to Pa to help Cornelius back to the ground. He noticed that Cornelius had tears in his eyes. "Did I scare you by going too fast?" Farlee asked. "No, that was fun," Cornelius laughed, sobbing a little at the same time and wiping a tear from his nose. "It's just that I had a really good time today." "Well, we can have fun again tomorrow," Farlee said. "We can have fun every day." "You don't understand," Cornelius sniffed. "I don't live here, Farlee. I don't live anywhere. I just wander from place to place, and I don't know if I can find the exact same place again. It's not easy being this small, you know. There's a lot of danger out there, so I have to keep moving all the time." "You mean you don't even have a house?" Farlee explained. "No house and no family?" "It's all right," Cornelius replied. "I'm used to being alone. I've had the very best day today, though, so thank you for that. And thank you for the delicious ice cream." Nope, I'm not leaving you here, Farlee said firmly. We made a pact. You can come home with me. But what about your family? Cornelius asked, looking down as tears rolled from his cheeks and dripped onto the dirt. Most dogs aren't very fond of mice. Don't worry. We'll think of something, Farlee said with determination. Friends love at all times, remember? Chapter 3. A Home for Cornelius. Farlee rode back to his house and pulled up alongside the shed. He opened up the door and looked around inside, studying the space. In here might be good, he said to Cornelius. Lots of places to hide and scraps to build with. I can bring your meals out here and you can drink from the garden hose. Is it too hot? Will this be okay? Cornelius considered his new surroundings. It did feel hot, but at least it was safe, and he would have a steady source of food. I'm grateful, Farlee. I really am. This will be just fine, Cornelius said, taking off his knapsack. I can make my bed in that corner over there behind the loose board. Are you sure? Farlee asked. I'll bring you some dinner and a flashlight from the house. Thanks, Farlee, Cornelius smiled. I'm sure. Aw, they are good friends. This is adorable. I'll hurry back as soon as I can, Farlee promised, rushing to the house to join his family for dinner. He raced inside and plopped down heavily in his seat at the table, suddenly feeling exhausted. Nice of you to join us, Farlee, his dad said with one eyebrow raised. Farlee stared at his plate, moving the peas and potatoes around with his fork. He usually had lots to talk about, but tonight he had so much on his mind he couldn't say a word. You seem awfully quiet, Farlee, his mom said. Farlee? Farlee, she said loudly, trying to get his attention. Farlee jumped. Oh, yes, I don't know. Sorry. I'm just tired, he said, feeling flustered. I couldn't wait for dinner to end, so he could go back to the shed and check on his new friend. It was his turn to do the dishes that night, and by the time he finished, the sun had gone down and everyone else in the family room was watching TV. Farlee loaded up his pockets with bread and cheese and headed toward the door. He was so intent on getting back to the shed he forgot to look down. Thump! He tripped over his father's boots and landed flat on his stomach in the hallway. Are you all right, Farlee? His mother called from the family room. Yes, I'm fine, Farlee sighed, feeling flustered. Just then, while he was still down on the floor, he saw it. Something he never saw before. What was it? He whispered to himself. Hidden in plain sight on the side of the staircase was what appeared to be a tiny door. No one would have ever noticed it just walking by, but from down here on the floor, it was unmistakable. Farlee slowly opened the door and peered inside. To his astonishment, he saw a miniature room. It had brown checkered chairs, a wooden rug, and a stone fireplace. There were loads of little books and even a small radio in the corner. He studied the room more closely. He noticed a thick coat of dust on the furniture and cobwebs woven between chairs. This had to be an old mouse house. How could he have missed it? A mouse house hidden away in his very own home? It appeared to be abandoned. Farlee couldn't believe his luck. It was meant to be. I wonder how far back into the wall it goes. Farlee pondered as he noticed a tiny hallway that led away from the main room. It looked like the mouse house filled up the entire space beneath the staircase. That is pretty cool. In your own house, and you didn't realize it. I see you found Theodore's house. Farlee jumped as he heard his dad whisper from behind him. He quickly sat up, his eyes wide. Who is Theodore? He whispered back. Theodore was a friend of your grandfather's. He was a brilliant mouse. Farlee's father replied in a hushed voice. Grandpa gave him credit for most everything he ever accomplished. Mice are very smart, you know. They never grow old, so they have centuries to gather all kinds of knowledge. I thought Mom was afraid of mice, Farlee said. Does she know about Theodore? Well, sometimes we are afraid of things we don't understand, Farlee, his dad replied. All mice had left before she was born, but if Theodore or any friends of his was to come back, I'd welcome him into our home. After all, it's your grandfather would have wanted. Don't worry about Mom, his dad added with a chuckle as Farlee realized the bread and cheese had slipped out of his pocket. When I was your age, I always dreamed I would meet a mouse. I hope if you do get the chance, you'll be sure to introduce me. Farlee nodded with a smile, his heart soaring. His new friend Cornelius would finally have a place to call home. Friends love at all times. Take the friendship pledge promise. Friends love at all times. Friends help each other be the best they can be. Friends have the courage to stand up for what's right. Friends accept you for you. Friends have fun. The end. You can find my friend Rebekah Phillips' books at farleeandfriends.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the book. Thanks, guys. Have a fabulous Friday.